have a keynote address on licensing products and Food-Tainment by Carl Gold, CEO Stumpy's Hatchet House. Carl, I really hope I pronounced your name right. If I haven't, please don't kill me. He's smiling there, so I'm safe right now. Carl mentored the launch of 5,000 businesses in more than 35 countries. He's also worked with several major entities like Walgreens, Walmart, the US Army, IBM, McGraw-Hill, among others. He's up on stage now because he wants me down. And with that, could we please play the intro video for Carl?
Good morning. Oh my, good morning. All right, much better, much better. It's Sunday morning, we're talking franchising, and you have cricket later today, correct? What could be better on a Sunday? Let's talk about Stumpy's Hatchet House. There's more slides here than I'm going to go through, so if you want to use the QR code, you can get all of the slides. So, Stumpy's Hatchet House is an axe-throwing indoor entertainment venue. And it's based on the concept of this question. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you did something for the first time? Well, in 2015, we bought axe throwing indoors. Axe throwing has been around for thousands of years in Europe. We bought it to North America, bought it inside, and it became a phenomenon in the United States. It became the #1 fastest growing activity in the U.S. Okay, and it stayed there until 2022. So for 7 years, it was the #1 activity, the #1 fastest growing activity. And so, one of the things that we learned when we first started, in the beginning, we opened up our locations in warehouses, because that's what was inexpensive at the time. Retail was very expensive. And so the pandemic came along and retail changed. The Amazon effect, as we called it in the United States. Warehousing got very expensive. Small retail became very inexpensive. And so now we're moving back to the high street retail. At the same time, here's one of the things that we learned. We learned that people don't want to just have a single experience or a single attraction. So what we introduced, we started the term social throwdown. In the United Kingdom, they call it competitive socializing. Don't be fooled by the Z or the Z. We way overuse that letter in the United States. It should be an S for you. But competitive socializing is the idea that we go out for fun, where we play games with each other, and we want to beat each other. Let's face it. If we go and we golf, we want to hit the ball farther than our mates. If we play cricket, we want to beat them. We want to keep score. We like keeping score, and we like to win. And so that was the basis of our model. Now, once we became the #1 fastest growing activity in the United States, we had the opportunity to really work with a lot of national brands. And we were able to put together a number of licensing deals as a result. So this is where Food-Tainment I'm not sure anyone knows exactly what the word is. It's still pretty new, but it comes in a number of versions. So here's what you're going to see. Here's what you see now. What you see right now in Food-Tainment is we like to game and we like to eat and drink at the same time. The number one question I get now is, wait a minute, you throw axes and you serve alcohol. What could go wrong? Right? I'm happy to say that we've had more than 1.2 million people come through our 33 locations, and we have not one injury. 0 injuries. What do you say here? Touch wood? We say knock on wood. Touch wood? Yeah. Touch wood. All right. Touch wood. And so once we combine the two, here's where competitive socializing and food-tainment is going. You are going to see the one-handed menu and the one-handed activity. Okay? Now, I saw a number of you demonstrating that at the restaurant last night. You did a very good job. You held your phone in one hand and a beer or a drink in the other. Well done. That's what you're going to be doing at restaurants soon. So on our slides, I have a copy of our menu. But what we're seeing more and more is people don't eat and then go play. They do it at the same time. So you need to be able to provide an experience where they can do both at the same time. So we throw an axe while we're drinking a beer. We play cornhole while we're having a slice of pizza. You do it at the same time. That's what's coming. I'm not saying it's good manners, but that's what's coming. Because that's what we're watching all of our customers do. When our guests come in, we give them food, we plate it very nicely, we set it down for them, and they pick it up and they walk with it while they go throw axes. In a competitive socializing gaming environment, what we've learned is that greater than 80% of the time, your guests will not be gaming. The average axe throwing session is 80 minutes. A group of 4 will only throw the axes 40 times. That's once every 2 minutes. So we were observing all this and said, what can we do to fill the rest of the time? So they throw every 2 minutes. They do nothing in between. So we need to feed them and, give them drinks. What do you call that? We give them drinks. So we like to feed them and occupy their time. And so that's the big challenge. They're going to spend the overwhelming amount of their time eating and drinking. And we want the games to not just be a distraction, but part of the attraction, but it won't be the total focus. Good with that so far? Okay. So here, once we became the number 1 fastest growing activity in the country, we were able to secure that's Coca-Cola. We got Coca-Cola. Okay. There's a very popular apparel company in the United States called 9-Line. And 9-Line, for all of you that served in the military, is a military term. So our concept has done very well with veterans, military, and those that are very patriotic. That's what we found. That's what we have found. Okay? We created an exclusive with a digital. We were the first to introduce digital targeting. So we have what we call the authentic experience, where it's a regular metal axe thrown at a piece of wood, and now we have digital as well. So you can have a digital experience as well as the authentic. And then there's a national group called the Bannermen Warriors. They come and they get in traditional combat dress and beat the living crap out of each other in real time. How would you say that here? At home we say beat the living crap out of each other. How do you say it here? The same? No? How would you say it? So they come and they put on a great show, and we have a very popular weapons manufacturer in the United States called Smith & Wesson, and they also have a suite of throwing accessories that we have co-branded. So once we started to gather the favor of the audience, the licensing followed and accelerated our growth. When we introduced food alone, our revenue went up 62%. In some of our locations, we have some legacy locations that have some restrictions where you either can't get a liquor license or you cannot order food, have food. But in the ones that have just alcohol, our sales went up 47%. When you put them, once you put those two together, when you put them together, they went up an additional 39%. What we found is, if we just served food, they were not eating as much. If we just served alcohol and not food, they were not drinking as much. Put the two together, and they would not only stay longer. Our average ticket went up over 30% once that happened. So we found it was very much an accelerant to the experience. Okay. Now, in 2010, I was in South Africa for a book tour at the time, and I was there for the World Cup at the time. And I went to a place in Johannesburg called Melrose Arch. Has anyone been there or heard of it? Okay. Well, I can tell you that South Africa might not play cricket very well, but they know how to build a mall. And this mall is an it's a live, work, and play model. And when I saw that model, if you get a chance, check it out. It's called Melrose Arch. As a matter of fact, the locals refer to it as a city. They don't refer to it as a mall. I said, where do you live? I live in Melrose Arch. So where is that? Well, that's in Johannesburg. Is it a town? No, it's a mall. Then why do you call that? I mean, it is as big as a small town. But when I saw it, I thought, that's the future. Because people want, it no longer is a venue just work or just play or just a living community. They built a small city that had everything combined. And we're seeing the same thing in the U.S. and in other markets as well, where traditional malls are now zoning themselves for residential. Work areas are now bringing in our other attractions. One of the things that we get a lot of call for is a traditional location will have us bring our mobile experience to them. So we'll drive up with a truck and trailer, and they'll do axe throwing in a mobile experience. And we've done them at hotels, we've done them at breweries, which are very popular in the States, and we've also done them at traditional malls. So we bring the experience to them, as well as them having them as brick and mortar permanent sites. But malls and retailers right now are noticing that people are coming for more than just a shopping experience. The shopping experience is not as customized as it used to be. The novelty is not there. It's not as great as it used to be. So they need the other attractions. Okay, I'm going to move beyond that. Okay. And so one of the things that we have learned is our food segment is what we would call gourmet concession. So it's not quite concession food. It's not full service, and it would be a stretch to call it. It would be a stretch to call it. It would be a stretch to call it sit down, right? We built a one-handed menu so that people can game at the same time that they're eating and drinking, because that's what we've noticed most in their in their shopping and their guest habits. Okay? All right, so when you are in the axe throwing industry, everything is a nickname. You can't go anywhere without changing the words around in our vernacular. So in other words, we don't have an excellent time, we have an excellent time. All right? We don't, I won't say it, but you can see the slogan. That's our best-selling T-shirt, by the way. The hottest piece of axe T-shirt. All right, and we have another one that is called "Don't Be an Axe Hole." Is our second bestseller. So our humor is a little offbeat. Our humor is a little off to the side. We have fun with it. Stumpy's was originally designed as a place for adults to go and the children not to come. That has since changed because we started having family days and the kids love it. We don't give them metal axes. They get little plastic axes with a little Velcro tip. That's why we still have no injuries. I don't want to put the axe in the hands of a kid because they're heavy. I'm happy to say that the women are much better at axe throwing than the men. By a lot. Here's why. You give a couple of axes to the men, what do we want to do? We grab the thing and we want to power it. The women take it and say, oh, it's kind of heavy. Let me just take my time and throw it. And they stick the blade and they stick the blade and they stick the blade. And meanwhile, their partner, they throw it, it drops. They throw it, it drops. And the ladies keep sticking the blade and look over and say, what's wrong with you? How come you can't hit that? The men are drinking more, yes. And we like that. We like that. And so what we found, to this point now, like I said, we've had over 1.2 million people come through the doors. 51% of our guests are women. 40%, so date nights, bachelorette parties, hen nights? Yeah, hen nights. And so we find that they are very, very popular because it's a technique activity. It's not a strength activity. So the women tend to be far superior at it, especially in the beginning. They take to it quicker and they do a really good job with it. And then 40% of our revenue in all of our locations comes from core.
Any other questions for Carl? No.
I have a follow-up.
Sure.
I think you're majorly based in the States, right? Like, and where is your main base in terms of states? Like, I think you might have mentioned in the presentation, but curious on like how many locations are there? And
we have 33 locations. We're in 13 states. And what's interesting, axe throwing is in all 48 continental states. Mm-hmm. There's axe throwing in Alaska and Hawaii, but we focus on the 48 continental states. And people go axe throwing in different parts of the country for different reasons. So we have a location in New York City. The person who goes to New York City, they think they're a lumberjack for the day. Somebody in Texas, they are a lumberjack, and that's why they go. They all go, they just go for different reasons. So if you're near the urban areas, so we have 10 locations within a 60-mile radius of New York City. Everybody thinks that they are a lumberjack for the day. They put a flannel on, throw an axe, and they think they're tough. Right? The rest of the country is actually tough, and that's why they do it, because it's something that is nostalgic and that reminds them of what they already like to do.
Got it. Thank you. I think I'll refer my friends.